Before IG-11 was ever a thing, there was IG-88. However, this assassin droid wasn't just another bounty hunter droid. IG-88 was a sentient killing machine that hated organic life. As one of 4 identical IG-88 units, IG-88A, B, C, and D, IG-88A gained independence shortly after activation and slaughtered his creators. He then uploaded his consciousness into his 3 duplicates, linking them all together as one mind, and set out on the quest to wipe all organic beings from the galaxy and starting a droid revolution. To initiate their droid revolution, the IG-88 units traveled to Mechas 3, a droid manufacturing world. They quickly seized control of the sparsely populated planet, secretly reprogramming all newly produced droids to serve their cause. To divert suspicion, IG-88B took on a bounty hunting career, becoming the public face of the group, while IG-88A remained on Mechas 3 overseeing production. IG-88B proved himself to be an extremely capable bounty hunter, even being referred to as the second best bounty hunter behind Boba Fett. IG-88B was known for taking high-profile bounty contracts to create as much widespread destruction as possible, to mislead the Imperials from discovering Mechas 3. He also answered Darth Vader's call to hunt down Han Solo. Despite the Empire's general dismantle-on-sight policy for assassin droids, Vader was willing to overlook the risks in favor of securing Solo. While aboard the Executor, IG-88B exploited the opportunity to secretly download classified Imperial files, including details on the second Death Star, which he transmitted back to IG-88A before departing. Determined to eliminate the competition, IG-88B planted a tracker on Slave 1 and pursued Boba Fett to Bespin. However, Fett anticipated the droid's move, luring him into an ambush deep within Cloud City. As IG-88B stepped into a trap, 4 remotely activated ion cannons fired upon him, disabling his systems. Fett then followed up with a shoulder-mounted ion blast, knocking the droid to the floor. Fett went on to remove IG-88B's own concussion grenades and place them inside the droid's chassis. Moments later, IG-88B was torn apart from the inside. By 3 ABY, the other 2 IG-88 units had been destroyed as well by Boba in separate encounters, leaving IG-88A as the sole surviving model. Despite this setback, IG-88A managed to infiltrate the second Death Star's computer core due to the plans he got from IG-88B, uploading his consciousness into the battle station. With control of the galaxy's most powerful weapon within his grasp, he was moments away from activating a signal that would summon all sentient programmed droids to his command. However, before he could act, the second Death Star was obliterated by the Rebel Alliance during the Battle of Endor, wiping out IG-88A and his droid revolution in an instant. Zuckuss, a Gand bounty hunter, was often referred to as the Uncanny One due to his extraordinary ability to track his prey. His reputation as an elite tracker stemmed from his innate force sensitivity, which granted him brief glimpses into the future and an acute awareness of others' intentions toward himself. This rare talent made him highly sought after by various factions, including the Hutts and the Bounty Hunters Guild. Zuckuss was known for a rather cautious approach to bounty hunting that set him apart from his more reckless peers. While many hunters rushed into battle without hesitation, he preferred to assess the situation and consider his options. However, when cornered or provoked, he could erupt into sudden and brutal violence. Although he was a capable solo hunter, Zuckuss preferred working with others, partnering with over a dozen different bounty hunters throughout his career. He was always open to learning from his allies, using their expertise to refine his own skills. Throughout his long career, Zuckuss was best known for his partnership with the droid Forlom. Together, they formed an almost unstoppable team. Zuckuss's uncanny tracking ability complemented Forlom's methodical and analytical approach perfectly. Although their partnership initially formed to satisfy their Hutt employers, Zuckuss grew to genuinely respect Forlom's skills, forging a strong bond with the droid. During one mission, Zuckuss's respirator was damaged, forcing him to inhale oxygen, a substance toxic to Gand. The exposure severely damaged his lungs, leaving him in critical condition. Desperate to afford a costly lung replacement, he and Forlom accepted a risky job from the Rebel Alliance, capturing the Imperial Governor Nardix. They succeeded, however, their involvement with the rebellion put them in danger, as it risked drawing the Empire's attention. Despite this, the duo was later hired by Darth Vader to track down the Millenium Falcon. Zuckuss, hiding the severity of his condition during the meeting with Vader, planned to infiltrate the Rebel ranks under the guise of a rescue mission. By escorting survivors from a downed Rebel transport, they hoped to get close enough to capture Han Solo. However, Zuckuss's health had deteriorated to the point that he was near death. In an unexpected turn, the rebels took pity on him and transported him to a medical facility, where he received the treatment necessary to survive. Grateful for the care he had received, Zuckuss ultimately chose to join the Rebel Alliance. He and 4-LOM briefly worked as covert operatives, even attempting to steal Solo's carbonite-encased body from Boba Fett before it could be delivered to Jabba the Hutt. The mission failed, unfortunately, resulting in 4-LOM's destruction at the hands of Boba. Though Zuckuss managed to repair his droid companion, he was forced to perform a complete memory wipe. This erased 4-LOM's previous loyalty, fundamentally changing their relationship. After completing one final job together, the two parted ways. Zuckuss relocated to the Outer Rim, but remained sympathetic to the rebellion. As the New Republic rose to power, he shifted his focus to hunting down Imperial remnants and war criminals. Despite his success, Zuckuss struggled with significant mental health issues, including schizophrenia and multiple personality disorder. However, despite his later struggles, Zuckuss became a revered figure on his homeworld of Gand, inspiring a new generation of Gand bounty hunters to seek their fortunes across the galaxy. His LEGO figure was also something I had waited for forever. In 2012, I got the LEGO UCS Super Star Destroyer. In it, you got Bossk, Dengar, and IG-88, and as I wanted to complete the Bounty Hunter collection, I really needed Zuckuss and 4-LOM. It wasn't until 2019 when we finally got his figure, but trust me when I tell you, I was literally one of the happiest people on Earth when I finally got him and completed my Executor Bounty Hunter squad. 4-LOM was an ambitious LOM series protocol droid who defined his programming to pursue a life of crime. Originally assigned to the luxury liner Quarry Princess, he served as a translator between the ship's wealthy passengers and its central computer. However, finding this work mundane, he gradually developed a taste for theft. Glitches in logic processing and corruption in his personality software due to the Quarry Princess's central computer enabled 4-LOM to override his original programming. Eventually, 4-LOM abandoned his duties entirely, becoming an expert thief and later a bounty hunter. Thanks to further modifications by Jabba the Hutt, 4-LOM was equipped with an array of droid features, combining elements of his original protocol droid design. While he retained his sophisticated communication systems, Jabba the Hutt upgraded him with reinforced body armor. Under Jabba's orders, 4-LOM was paired with the Gand bounty hunter Zuckuss. Initially, 4-LOM saw the partnership as an opportunity to study Zuckuss's unique Findsman tracking abilities, hoping to develop his own sense of intuition. However, over time, the two formed a genuine bond. This loyalty was put to the test when Zuckuss was critically injured after his respirator got damaged. Determined to save his partner, 4-LOM stayed loyally by his side, although the logical path would have been to abandon Zuckuss. When Zuckuss joined the Rebel Alliance, 4-LOM followed, and together they attempted to steal Han Solo's carbonite-encased body from Boba Fett. However, Fett anticipated the ambush and swiftly countered, shooting 4-LOM and leaving him for dead aboard Slave 1. Unbeknownst to Fett, 4-LOM had activated a tracking signal to help Zuckuss and Bossk intercept Slave 1. While hidden in the cargo hold, he repaired himself, but Fett discovered the ruse and cornered him. In the ensuing struggle, 4-LOM managed to disable Slave 1's weapon systems, but suffered severe damage, including a final shot to the head that critically destroyed his verbobrain. Soon after, Zuckuss, Bossk, and other hunters attacked Fett but were defeated, with Zuckuss taken prisoner. Upon reaching Tatooine, Fett tricked his pursuers by disguising Zuckuss and 4-LOM as decoys while he secretly delivered Solo to Jabba the Hutt, successfully securing his payment. Meanwhile, 4-LOM and Zuckuss were left empty-handed. With his verbobrain severely damaged, 4-LOM could only be reactivated through a complete memory wipe. The process erased all traces of his past ambitions and idealism, leaving only his ruthless fourth-degree programming. No longer the same droid, 4-LOM became a cold, emotionless bounty hunter, devoid of any loyalty to Zuckuss. Although they continued working together for a short time, 4-LOM no longer felt the need for a partner and eventually struck out on his own. Both he and Zuckuss distanced themselves from the Rebel Alliance. What a sad end to their rather wholesome partnership. Genuinely, the character development in the expanded universe is just unmatched. Every single character, no matter how little screen time they had, got their own unique backstory, which was carefully crafted with love and care. Dengar, a Corellian human, was raised in the culture of swoop racing and became a successful racer in his youth. Alongside his racing career, he also led a double life as a bounty hunter during the Clone Wars, working with a young Boba Fett and Bossk. Through those missions, Dengar earned a reputation as one of the galaxy's most effective mercenaries. Despite his success, he eventually left bounty hunting to focus on his first passion, swoop racing. His life changed dramatically after a swoop race through the Agrelot Swamp on Corellia, where he suffered grievous injuries at the hands of Han Solo. The crash left Dengar severely wounded, and he was then left to the Empire to conduct experiments on. Imperial scientists rebuilt him as a deadly assassin, outfitting him with advanced cybernetic enhancements and neuroimplants. These modifications dulled his humanity, leaving him with little emotion, making him a killing machine. Dengar served the Empire faithfully for a time, but his loyalty fractured when he was ordered to kill the Holy Children of Asrat. Sensing their pain and despair, he refused the order and abandoned his post, becoming a freelance gun for hire. After the Battle of Hoth, Dengar was recruited by Darth Vader to hunt down his old rival Han Solo, but he arrived on Cloud City too late. Boba Fett had already claimed the bounty and was en route to Jabba the Hutt. While there, Dengar unexpectedly reunited with Manaroo, a woman from his past. Seeing the emotionless man he had become, Manaroo helped rekindle his lost humanity, awakening emotions he thought were erased by his cybernetic enhancements. Determined to stop Fett, Dengar and Manaroo traveled to Tatooine in a last-ditch effort to reclaim Solo. However, their plan failed, leading to Manaroo's capture. To make matters worse, Fett had been given a separate contract by Jabba to eliminate Dengar. However, instead of killing him, Fett chose to show mercy, leaving Dengar wounded but alive in the Tatooine desert. Eventually, Dengar was rescued by Manaroo, who freed herself after Jabba's death. Fate then brought Dengar and Fett back together. After Boba was swallowed by the Sarlacc, Dengar was the one who found him, barely clinging to life after his escape. Remembering the mercy Fett had once shown him, Dengar repaid the favor by nursing him back to health. This act of kindness forged an unlikely friendship between the two bounty hunters. With Manaroo by his side, Dengar's priorities shifted. They decided to get married, and although Dengar did still do a few jobs alongside Boba, he eventually retired and lived out his life. What a wholesome story, right? Well, now what did Disney do with him? Well, rumors have it he became this cybernetic mess known as Hrothgar Deng, who just wanted to keep hunting forever, and thus altered his appearance even more. Thank God we still have the EU timeline, or else it'd be such a sad reality for all our favorite characters. Either they're dead or messes like Hrothgar Deng and Book of Boba Fett Boba. Also, he was a super fun hero character to play as in the 2015 Battlefront. I'm especially fond of when he first released, where his Hurricane Strike ability was able to one-shot kill Luke Skywalker. Also, he had a kick as his melee attack. Great times. Bossk was a Trandoshan bounty hunter whose name literally meant devour your prey. After hatching from his egg, he devoured all his unhatched siblings, making his father very proud of him. As was common for Trandoshans, Bossk started becoming a hunter by hunting Wookiees. Proving himself rather effective, he started accepting other bounty hunting jobs and quickly grew a name for himself, and got accepted into the Bounty Hunters Guild. Like many Trandoshans, Bossk was driven by his belief in the Scorekeeper, a deity who awarded points for each successful kill. The more challenging the prey, the greater the reward. Bossk was notoriously controlling with his partners, often turning on them when they were no longer useful, sometimes even killing them. He preferred working alone, relying on his own skills and instincts rather than trusting others. During the Clone Wars, he found himself often working and mentoring a young Boba Fett, whom he grew quite fond of and even became his bodyguard during a short imprisonment on Coruscant. He continued working with Boba on several occasions, even after the fall of the Republic, although they did grow distant over time and Bossk started to grow a hatred for Boba. Throughout his career, he had encounters with the likes of Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Chewbacca, whom he had a personal rivalry with. Due to his reputation, he was also assigned to track down the Millenium Falcon by Darth Vader. Years after the Battle of Endor, Bossk eventually retired from bounty hunting. In both DICE Battlefront games, you can see Bossk hunting mode where he can activate a thermal vision, showing his natural skills as a hunter in full display. Also, he was incredibly overpowered in the 2015 Battlefront, where almost every half-decent player was able to rack up 100+ kills per game rather easily, and it still gives me PTSD, but also joy when thinking about it. The man who started it all, the most notorious and famous bounty hunter in the galaxy, started life as an unaltered clone of Jango Fett and was raised as his son. Unlike the countless Republic clone troopers, Boba aged at a normal rate and was personally trained by his father Jango in Mandalorian combat techniques. Even as a child, Boba displayed impressive combat skills and was even able to pilot the slave One himself. However, his life took a tragic turn when he witnessed his father's death at the hands of Mace Windu during the Battle of Geonosis. From that moment on, Boba was consumed by revenge and the desire to carve his own legacy. During the Clone Wars, young Boba formed a crew with notorious bounty hunters such as Aurra Sing and Bossk, who took him under their wing. Alongside them, he attempted to get his revenge on Windu. Though his plans ultimately failed, it did show how skillful he was despite his young age, and he was imprisoned on Coruscant for it. It was there that he first got to know Cad Bane, whom he started to form a distant relationship with. After being released from prison, he built his first bounty hunter syndicate with a base on Tatooine, with various different bounty hunters working for him. At some point, he was able to recover his father's armor as well as the Slave One from Hondo Ohnaka, who had been keeping it for him as a favor for his father. Around the same time, he also started to have frequent bounty hunter missions alongside Cad Bane, whom he learned a lot from. Although they did fall out at some point, which led to Boba's signature dent in his helmet. He also came under the wing of Jabba the Hutt as a favor to Jango, who had helped him to kill his rival Gardulla the Hutt. Thus, Boba's experience kept growing as he was able to take on more and more missions. Over time, Fett built a reputation as one of the galaxy's most feared bounty hunters, and by the time of the Galactic Empire, Boba was known as the bounty hunter to hire if you wanted results. This reputation made him a favorite of Darth Vader, who often hired Boba for various missions. One mission saw him lead a portion of the 501st against a clone rebellion on Tipoca City. In another instance, Boba found himself in a duel to the death against Vader after he decided that he wanted to keep a box that Vader had hired him to get. He barely survived the encounter with Vader, but did land a few critical hits on the Dark Lord. However, this incident didn't stop Vader from hiring him. Most prominently, Boba was hired to hunt down Han Solo for the Empire, a smuggler he had frequent encounters with already in the past and had grown to dislike quite a lot. He followed Solo to Cloud City and watched as he was frozen in carbonite before delivering him to Jabba for the bounty on his head. When Solo's friend eventually tried to rescue him from Jabba the Hutt's palace, they were swiftly captured. After Leia unfroze Solo, she was forced into servitude as Jabba's slave. At one point, the crime lord sent her to Boba Fett's quarters to entertain the bounty hunter. However, although his reputation was that of a ruthless killer, he was bound by his own moral code and refused. Still, he did not send Leia back, as doing so would have insulted Jabba. Instead, the two spent the night debating the rebellion's cause and the Empire's rule. When a conversation grew heated, Fett abruptly ended the argument and fell asleep on the floor, leaving Leia to sleep in his bed. Fett remained alert, but found amusement in watching Jabba's reaction when Luke faced off against the Rancor, especially as Luke was able to kill it. After that, he accompanied Jabba to the Sarlacc pit to watch the rebel heroes be devoured by the Sarlacc. As the prisoners were led to their doom, Fett considered the massive bounty on Skywalker's head. However, Jabba refused to entertain negotiations as Luke had killed his prized Rancor, and there would be no bargaining. Frustrated, but without a viable alternative, Fett prepared for the execution. When Luke initiated his daring escape, Fett joined Jabba's guards in attempting to stop him. As he was completely focused on capturing the Jedi, Fett failed to notice Han Solo, who was still suffering from hibernation sickness. In his disoriented state, Solo accidentally struck Fett's jetpack with a wild swing of his staff, triggering it. The malfunctioning pack sent the bounty hunter hurling against Jabba's sail barge before he tumbled helplessly into the Sarlacc's maw. For years, fans believed Boba had perished in the belly of the Sarlacc. However, of course, the fan favorite wouldn't stay dead in this fashion. In the current canon storyline, he spectacularly returned in The Mandalorian Season 2. It is revealed that Boba escaped the Sarlacc pit and was rescued and taken in by a Tusken raider tribe. Instead of returning to his old ways, Boba adapted to the Tuskens' lifestyle, learning their culture and eventually becoming one of them. When his new family was wiped out by the Pike Syndicate, he vowed to rebuild his life, not as a lone bounty hunter, but as a leader. He then takes over Jabba the Hutt's former empire, ruling as a daimyo in Mos Espa. In the expanded universe, Boba escapes the pit and is left for dead in the desert. His armor was stripped off him by Jawas, but the bounty hunter Dengar, who had been searching for valuable scraps at the sail barge's demise spot, found him and nourished him back to health. This led to the two bounty hunters forming a close friendship, with Boba even becoming the best man at Dengar's wedding. During this time, he kept going after the bounty hunter business, taking on several jobs. During the Yuuzhan Vong invasion, he became the leader of Mandalore, being a critical faction in the fight against them, and even training the Jedi Jacen Solo in the Mandalorian combat forms. That sums it up for Boba's story. Which version of his story do you prefer? And now, let's talk LEGO. Boba Fett has had multiple LEGO minifigure versions over the years, but one of the most legendary is the 2003 Cloud City Boba. This figure is so rare that it regularly sells for over $1,500, making it one of the holy grails of the LEGO Star Wars collectors. One day, man. One day I'll get one.